Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is occurring at 23 degrees of Virgo on or around the 14th of March 2025, depending on where it is in the world that you are located. This is a monumental eclipse within the monumental month of March. Unless you've been living under a rock, you are probably aware that 2025 is one of the most significant years that we have experienced in astrology to date. And when I say that, I mean us as a collective. As long as we've been living and breathing, this is a big year. 2020 was a massive year. 2025 in some ways is an even more massive year because we have all of the outer planets switching signs. The outer planets are the slower moving planets. When they switch signs, they are collective energies. So we see this as them really impacting the collective in a powerful way. We have not only Pluto, who just entered Aquarius, but we have Neptune getting ready to shift into Aries for the first time since the 1860s. We also have Saturn getting ready to move into Aries. We have Jupiter moving into Cancer this year. In addition to that, we have Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini. Are you feeling this right now, you guys? This is absolutely insane. We got a lot of fire. We got a lot of air. This is fast-moving energy that we are moving into here. Now, 2025 itself is also a watery year. As we have these Pisces energies taking center stage, the Pisces and the Aries are the two biggest energies that we're working with in 2025. And we're going to see, like we said, two of the outer planets, Neptune and Saturn, switching into or transitioning into the sign of Aries. We're also going to see them retrograding back into Pisces before moving back into Aries again. As we're moving through this eclipse season, we have Venus retrograde in the sign of Aries, moving later into Pisces at the end of the month on the 27th. And then we also have Mercury retrograding through Aries, who will also re-enter the sign of Pisces during his retrograde. So we're seeing this theme continuing to move us through this entire year. The fact that we have two personal planets in retrograde during this eclipse season, during March, is part of what makes this one of the biggest months in astrology for 2025. Two personal planets retrograde. We have Neptune, like we said, moving into the sign of Aries for the first time since the 1860s. Which was, yes, also the American Civil War. So this is a big energy. There are many revolutions that are sparked during these times of Neptune in Aries. This is, I don't know, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I don't think it's possible to overstate how massive this energy is and how important this is. Especially when we look at the fact that Neptune is transiting into Aries the day after the solar eclipse in Aries. So essentially Neptune slowed to a standstill at the final minutes of that final degree of Pisces, that 29th anaretic degree, and then moving the next day into Aries. So on the coattails of this eclipse, you could almost imagine that new moon eclipse in Aries, that solar eclipse, as like the opening energy that sort of like opens the door for Neptune to walk through. And when Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces later this year, Neptune's going to remain at that 29th anaretic degree. So there's a lot of Pisces energies that we're closing out. These are the lower vibratory energies. These are the energies of victimhood, powerlessness, escapism. Where it is that we're fooling ourselves, where it is that we're seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, the illusions being shattered, all right, the old paradigms being shattered. So this is really monumental, and it's part of the closeout of this age of Pisces, this 26,000-year cycle, as we move into the age of Aquarius. So there's lots of cycles being closed out here. Saturn's closing out a cycle as well. Saturn is entering Aries. Every time a planet enters Aries, they're initiating a brand new spin through the zodiac, so to speak. So the last time that Saturn was in the sign of Aries was at the end of the 1990s. All right, so you can look back to that time. That's when the last cycle, this cycle that we're completing right now, began. And now in May, when Saturn re-enters Aries, we're going to have a brand new Saturn cycle. that is being birthed here, that we're going to be experiencing for the next roughly 30 years as Saturn does another spin through the zodiac. Oh my God, I can't believe it's been 30 years since the 1990s, the end of the 90s. Oh my God. Those of you my age or older, well, it's always such a mind fuck, honestly, when you realize how much time has gone by. It really shows you how much time is an illusion, right? Because it doesn't feel that long ago. Although if you were to look back on what was going on in your life at the end of the 90s, it might feel a little bit longer. All right. Anyway, I digress. Moving forward. So we got some major energies here, and it is a 9-year, so this is a perfect year for these endings, these completions, and these new beginnings, being that 9 is the number that represents endings and beginnings, death and rebirth, transformation. So there's a powerful transformation that is underway here, and we've been talking about quite a bit on this channel lately, this energy and this understanding of what is going on here as we are being prepared for the powerful DNA activations of 2027, when the new human in terms of biology is being genetically birthed. So there's a lot that we are preparing for. There's a lot that we're healing. There's a lot that we're releasing. And that is a good chunk of what this full moon is about. What makes this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo even more powerful is the fact that it is conjunct the South Node. So there's a whole lot of releasing that's going on here, a whole lot of letting go, a whole lot of clearing out to make way for all of the cellular activations, all of the shifts and changes that are going on within our bodies, within our being, within our minds. Every aspect of us is shifting and changing right now. It's happening within our cells, within our DNA. It's happening within our belief systems. It's happening within our perspectives. It's happening within our emotional bodies. Every body that exists within us, right? When we hear the body, we think of the physical body, but we have many bodies outside of the physical body. And all of these energetic bodies are receiving their own upgrades right now. So it's really like I'm seeing the whole 7 chakra system, 9 chakra system, whatever you want to call it. Those of you who are familiar with human design will be familiar with the 9 chakra system. Those of you a bit more esoteric will be also familiar with the 12 chakra system. All right, so there's a lot going on here. All of these chakras, all of these channels of energy are activating. They're really moving and flowing right now, is what Spirit is showing me. And Spirit's also saying that I should link for people who are interested in the video, Who Are the 144,000? Because in that video, we talk about the true meaning of the number 144,000 and the 144,000 essentially light body activations that happen as we ascend in consciousness. So I am going to link that video because that is Spirit saying very relevant to what's going on right now. We're experiencing a lot of the stirrings of those energies, and we have been experiencing them. That is part of what this ascension process is all about. The way that Spirit is sort of putting it through for us right now, so to speak, is Spirit's showing me and reminding me that none of this happens independently. It all happens at the same time. So as we are experiencing these energy body, these light body activations, that is causing a shift in consciousness. That is causing the shift in belief structures. That is causing the shift in perspective. That is bringing up these emotions, right? It's all linked together. So we've been experiencing this. This is what the awakening is, honestly. It's the shift in frequency and energy. We are naturally shifting in frequency and energy. But at the same time, so it's like the environment, through the solar flares, through the planets, through all the different ways that we're receiving these energies are being fed to the planet. They're interacting with our cellular structure, with our DNA, with our cellular matrix is the term that keeps coming through recently. They're interacting with that, and then they're bringing through all of these shifts and changes, which can be very subtle or they can be very extreme, depending on how we're experiencing this energy. In the earlier years of my ascension process, or I don't even know if I want to say earlier, it would probably be the mid-years, right? Around 2020. It wasn't the beginning of my awakening, but it was when I was really transforming the most, I think, the most profoundly, the most quickly. Okay, yeah, that's what Spirit's saying. Spirit's saying that when we are transforming very, very quickly, that's when we tend to experience more ascension symptoms sometimes, because there's so much rapidly taking place. And this is something that I've learned throughout my spiritual journey, is the importance and the beauty of things taking time. When I first started training with my first mentor, Glenn Jones, I talk about him a lot. I love him so deeply. I remember there were times when I would get jealous of, there was a gentleman that he also mentored who was much further along in his working with energy and all that stuff than I was. His psychic senses were more activated, more open. And I would compare myself and be like, well, I don't see what he's seeing. I'm not picking up on that. I'm feeling the energy, like the frequency, the vibrations, but I'm not seeing, I'm not having those visuals or those experience. I would get really down on myself and frustrated, and I would be like, why is that not coming through for me? Why am I not experiencing this? Why am I not experiencing that? Why is this happening so slowly? It was a real thorn in my side, how slowly my psychic senses and perceptions opened up. And for me, they opened up more quickly as when I started being of more service. All right, so that, just throwing that out as a tidbit for some people. But I also want to say that I have witnessed over the years people whose psychic senses opened up very, very rapidly, and it literally threw them into psychosis. All right. So, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice or anything here. I'm speaking from experience. And as I watched that and some of the tragic things that happened around that for some people, I became really, really grateful about how slow my awakening journey and my awakening process has been. And so there's something to that. And it's the same with the physical ascension, with all of these aspects. It's like, if we are physically changing, cellularly changing very quickly, we're going to have a ton of ascension symptoms. All right. So sometimes it's better to allow that to slow down. And Spirit's saying we have the power to control that. We have so much more power than we think. So if you're experiencing a lot of ascension symptoms right now, and for those of you who don't know, ascension symptoms would be when they can be any type of strange physical sensations that have no medical diagnosis or basis, like you don't really know why they're happening. A lot of times it's similar to a healing crisis, right? I can't believe I've never fully made that connection before with the healing crisis, because I teach Reiki and Bell Vespita angelic healing, and in both of those, when people are initiated and also when people receive healing sessions, the healing crisis can occur when we're healing very, very rapidly. This is what ascension symptoms are. So some of them can feel like cold or flu-like symptoms. There can even be like vomiting sometimes. People can hear ringing in their ears. They can have vertigo, dizziness, hot flashes, cold flashes, sweats. It's like some of it, spirits say it could be similar to like menopause. Like it could be like anything. Any of these strange symptoms, skin rashes, skin flushing, visual disturbance. There are so many things that can happen. What used to happen to me back in early 2020, this happened particularly around the portals, which was really interesting. I would get really dizzy. I would feel really lightheaded. I would sometimes need to sit down, and I would have panic attacks. And so I had to start learning how to manage that energy through breathing, slowing down the breath. The 4 square breathing is really good, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. And if you exhale longer, that enhances the calming energy. So working with breathing, working with listening to, I used to listen to affirmations and binaural beats for calming the nervous system. I remember I would have days before the shutdown, right, which was like a grace for me because of everything that I was going through. I would be like getting ready for work, like with my headphones on, doing my dishes or something to be mindful, feeling the water on my hands and everything, listening to my binaural beats, just breathing, trying to bring my energy to a level where I could function. It was crazy. I was going through a lot of really rapid changes at that point. Now the changes are a bit more gradual. And I've also learned how to work with the energy more, how to stay more grounded, how to stay more rooted in my body Like we said, rooted in my breathing, connecting with nature can be really helpful. Any of these things, crystals, those dark crystals, the browns, the reds, the oranges, the blacks, greens even, Spirit's saying, because they'll help harmonize with that heart chakra, which is, of course, the gateway. It is the ultimate key to all of this, the portal to the fifth dimension, as we call it on here. I think the reason that I'm talking about this is because there's going to be a lot of people experiencing a lot of ascension symptoms during this eclipse and as we're continuing to move through March. So the breathing, the grounding, the anchoring into your body, utilizing your senses, right? Cold, like when I worked in a women's rehab center, we used to keep cold oranges in the freezer. So if the women were having anxiety attacks or they were feeling panicky or they were starting to dissociate, they could go to the freezer and grab an orange, and something about the feel of the orange in their hands and also even the scent of oranges particularly helped to bring them back into the moment. And so that could be helpful. Like, work with what works best for you. Know that as we're moving through this energy, yes, we've been talking a lot about the Pisces energy. Virgo Pisces is an axis of energy. So while the moon is in Virgo, we got all those planets in Pisces. So that Pisces energy is really swallowing up the Virgo energy in a lot of ways. The Pisces energy is really connected. We've got Uranus. Uranus is actually connected both to the moon and the south node, who are conjunct in Virgo, and to all of the planets in Pisces. So it's aspecting positively both of these, both the moon and the south node and all of the other planets and points within that Pisces energy. So it's Uranus is coming through, assisting us in this change. It's also assisting in bringing them through, being that Uranus is connected to the Akashic records, to the quantum field. It's bringing through a lot of those possibilities, those opportunities, those DNA changes and activations that we're talking about. A lot of that is being facilitated by Uranus right now within the sign of Taurus, grounding it into the physical, in that most physical of earth signs and all signs, really, that sign of Taurus. So we have that grounded. We also have a harmonious trine to the Piscean planets here, particularly the Sun and Saturn, who are very close right now. They're 1 degree apart. So the Sun and Saturn are really anchored, locked in together right now. And this is, we're talking about cycles. There's another cycle that begins when any planet comes into conjunction with the Sun. We call this a synodic cycle. So there is another cycle beginning with Saturn, not just the cycle of Saturn's own transit through the 12 zodiac signs that begins again when Saturn re-enters Aries for the first time since the late 90s. In May, but there's also a cycle from the time that Saturn is connecting with that Sun. So we've got another beautiful cycle there, a year-long cycle until the Sun and Saturn move through again. And with the Sun and Saturn here, this is a cycle that has to do with stepping into our independence, with taking greater responsibility in some area of our lives. This is where Saturn is teaching us something really powerful and profound. There's a mastery. Saturn energy is about mastery. So what is it that we're mastering? What is it that we're moving through here until the next Saturn-Sun conjunction? And it doesn't always happen in the same sign, right? So right now we have Saturn conjunct the Sun within the sign of Pisces. So there's a mastery, and we've been working with this the whole time that Saturn's been in Pisces. It was 2023, I believe it was, that Saturn entered the sign of Pisces. So it's been a few years that we've been working with this energy. So now, the being that Saturn and the Sun are conjunct in Pisces here as well, we're going to be getting, it's kind of like the next year, there's a cycle of energy that we're entering into that's really going to help us integrate everything that we've learned from this Saturn and Sun, or Saturn in Pisces transit. And what have we been talking about? We've been talking about for quite some time. I didn't mean it to sound like that, you guys. What have we been talking about? We've been talking about energetic responsibility, taking responsibility for our energy, becoming the master of our energy, incorporating the spiritual into the practical, into our everyday lives, creating those spiritual routines, that good spiritual hygiene. And Virgo energy loves that, because Virgo energy is also all about that. So this is a big, like, remembrance point for that, reactivation point for that, check-in point along our own self-care or along how we're nurturing ourselves spiritually. We want to make sure that we get really good with that, because that's what's going to reduce those ascension symptoms, like we said. I think I started to say when we were talking about that, how we can ask for ease and grace with that. We can ask that process to slow down. We can also practice those good, maybe some of those practices we talked about before would be good to incorporate into your spiritual hygiene, the grounding, the breathing, the slowing down. I know I get really amped up when I do these videos sometimes, and I talk really, really quickly. We're going to have to really practice slowing down as we're moving through 2025 and 2026 with all of these outer planets in these air and fire signs. There's a lot of fast moving energy here. So breathing, slowing down. The Pisces energy this year is really going to help with that. It's going to help us consistently come back to our center and consistently revisit what it is. It's like the Aries energy has us initiating, setting out, moving forward. And then the Pisces energy has us coming back to center, reevaluating, integrating, touching base with our soul again. And it's assisting us in releasing anything that isn't working. It's like the Aries energy stretches out. It tries something new, then it comes back, and the Pisces energy says, all right, this is what went well, this is what didn't. Let's dissolve what needs to be dissolved, whatever is still standing between you and your spirit and that conscious connection. Because this Aries energy is the initiator. It is that driving force. But when we learn how to combine that, this is like the masculine feminine balance right here, with our intuition, with our spiritual energy, that's when we become really damn good manifestors and creators. So we're learning how to do that very powerfully as we're moving through these energies here. Now, actually, we're gonna finish one thought before we move on to Mercury and Venus. With this energy here, we're working with this Virgo's Pisces axis. So there are some more themes of energy besides self-care, besides that spiritual balance and our spiritual hygiene. There's also an energy of service. This axis represents service. It also represents consciousness on the grander scale. We have the mind energy, the belief systems, with the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. But when we move into Virgo and Pisces, we go deeper. This is where we're looking at the very nature of consciousness itself. Pisces representing the superconscious, the collective consciousness. Virgo energy representing the more linear mind and the more human egoic consciousness. So we have this ability here to blend these, to merge these, to balance these in a sense. So we're going to be working with that. We're going to be working with understanding our own consciousness better, our own shadow, how it is that our own consciousness impacts and is impacted by the collective consciousness, and how taking ownership of our own energy, our own mental energy, as well as our own spiritual energy, can impact the collective. And we may be sensing and getting a feel for some of those ripples. There's this big energy with the rippling here that Spirit's bringing up. And I think we talked about how this year of 2025 is a mass awakening. I think it was in the last video that I put out for the March energies. If you guys haven't seen that, check that out. I'll link that at the end of this video as well. And in that video, it's more generalized. Here, we're focusing on the eclipse. That's just more about the overall energies. And so there is a mass awakening going on right now. And so it's like seeing where you're at with that, you may feel more tapped into the collective. This is really great for getting inspiration for creativity. There may be some powerful creative impulses coming through here. So take note of those, but also make sure that you are sorting out when things are coming up. Does this belong to me, or is this collective? And honestly, in a sense, nothing really belongs to us, right? If we really want to get right down to it. But like, I think you guys understand what I mean. But whatever it is, whether it belongs to you or not, just let it move through you. Let it flow through you. This energy wants to move. It wants to flow. Don't restrict it. Pisces is mutable water. Virgo is mutable earth. We're meant to flow. We're meant to, there's a huge emotional detox and purge that's happening for many people right now. So let that energy purge out of you. Preferably in a space where you're not going to be negatively impacting other people. We do, once again, Saturn and Pisces, taking responsibility for our energy. We need to be responsible for our own energy. We really, really do. And that means not just dumping all of our emotions on everybody. There's sort of this movement that says, like, my emotions are valid, my emotions are important, and kind of leads people to believe that we should be sharing those emotions with people all the time and that people owe us this energy of, like, holding space or hearing out our emotions all the time. And this is true in a sense of, like, you should be able to have a conversation with somebody about how you truly feel, right? That is constructive, that is helpful. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to ask other people to take responsibility for our own emotional state all the time. We can share with somebody how something they said or did impacted us, but in a constructive way, that once we've worked through that and we've come to a point where we're not just like we said, just dumping all that energy on them, right? Because we have to take responsibility for our energy and know that nobody can make us feel any sort of way. So yes, we want people to know how their actions and words are impacting us, but at the same time, it's not their responsibility. Like, it's our responsibility once those energies come up to figure out what to do with them, to figure out where they come from. And then once we've sorted through some of that, to bring that up to another person and to find a constructive way to move forward. But it's like finding that, so like, you know, if you need to scream, if you need to cry, like, try to carve out a space to do that, like a constructive, health, safe space. And maybe you have someone in your life who wants to sit with you through that process and hold space for you. Maybe this is more about learning how to hold space for yourself, which is equally, if not more, important. This energy of service is a big part of this eclipse as well. So we're going to be noticing and understanding the ways that we are of service. Our own healing work is a powerful way to be of service to the collective. And for some people, I think that is really going to be ringing true in a way that perhaps you hadn't really noticed it or paid attention to it before. Like, really giving yourself credit for the healing work that you're doing and how that is positively impacting the collective. Also seeing where it is that you are of service, where it is that you are maybe being called to step into greater service. There may be sacrifices that we are needing to make around this time, things that are being revealed to us, ways that Spirit is asking us to sacrifice something in order for the greater good, in order for the collective good. But it's like, what is that worthy sacrifice, and where am I really being called to sacrifice from the heart space? Versus where am I perhaps sacrificing because of a martyr complex, because of a codependency issue, where I'm needing to be validated, where I'm afraid not to give overly, because if I stop, then maybe I won't be loved, maybe I won't be wanted, needed, accepted. We need to balance all of that. We need to know, where is this motivation coming from? And Virgo energy is really, really good at this, so take advantage of this. What is motivating me to be of service in this situation? What kind of service is this? Is this selfish service or selfless service? And when I say that, remember, there is no truly selfless service in the sense that service makes us feel good, right? But there's one that's motivated by self-interest, and one type of service that's motivated by interest for others and for the greater whole. So we may be seeing some more of those nuances and understanding those more. And we may be given opportunities to step into greater service. And I always say, if you're getting stuck in your head, it's like being of service to another human being is a really great way to get out of your own head and to get out of your own way. So that may be a great mechanism for some people, as long as you don't begin to notice that it's a coping mechanism for you. And what I mean by this is what I used to do for a really long time. Instead of doing my own work and working on healing myself, I would just help others all the time. And it felt really good. At least it made me feel like I had a purpose. And this was in the beginning of my recovery, where this was really prevalent for me. And it kept me clean. But at the same time, it didn't get me all that much better psychologically, emotionally, because I was avoiding really doing the nitty-gritty work on my own wounds, on my own traumas. It was more like, if I focus on your mess, I don't have to look at my own. All right, so it was a coping mechanism. It was a distraction mechanism. And eventually we're being asked, and for some of us, it's like, this eclipse season is going to clear the way. Get rid of all those distractions so we have no one else to focus on except ourselves. No one else's mess to look at except for our own. And for some people, that's going to be really, really uncomfortable. What enhances the uncomfortability potential for this eclipse is the fact that we have Venus conjunct Mercury, Venus retrograde, Mercury turning retrograde on the eclipse. So there's a lot of energies here. It's very likely that if we have energies from the past, connections, missed opportunities, relationships where we've gotten a lot more clarity since, we may really be wanting to reach out to people. We may really be wanting closure, to set the record straight, to reconcile, to heal something. We may be noticing that if we haven't resolved things from past relationships, from past energies, situations, experiences, we may be noticing where that is rearing its ugly head, where that baggage has been carried into a current relationship or circumstance in our lives, and needing to address that, needing to deal with that. We may have people really getting in their feels and contacting us. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I want to put this out there. Like, the way that I look at this is, if a retrograde season is bringing something up within us, it's not like it's bringing it up because it was never there to begin with. It's bringing it up because it's always been there. We've just been able to repress and suppress it, but now it's coming to the surface because it wants to be dealt with. This is where our unconscious becomes more conscious during these retrograde cycles. With Aries, this is our unconscious dreams, desires, passions. And as we move into Pisces, this is like the more unconscious stirrings of our souls and our deep emotional nature. So pay attention to that, notice that, prepare for that. You may have people reaching out, you may have people wanting to iron things out, wanting to heal with you, wanting to be heard. Some people, like, you'll have to sift out, like, is this person just wanting to be heard? And that can be a positive or a negative, not negative thing, but like, are they really wanting to be constructive here, or are they just wanting me to hear them out, right? And even if that's true, maybe you're in a place to be able to give that to them, and maybe you're not. And if you're not, then there's still a wound there that needs to be healed. Or maybe you just have enough, you're practicing good self-care and good boundaries, and you just know that you don't have the bandwidth for that. In which case, table it. Like, take care of yourself above all else. But because this is an eclipse and an energy that is very much about service, and even the Aries-Libra axis, which is also about the self versus the other, we're going to have a lot of these opportunities to look at how do I balance the needs of myself with the needs of others. So for some, like this theme and this energy coming up right now, we're going to be feeling this during that Aries partial solar eclipse as well. So we're amping up to that. We're feeling that. We got Chiron in the sign of Aries. Mercury and Venus are moving away. As this eclipse happens, we have Mercury at 9 degrees of Aries and Venus at 7 degrees of Aries. So we're really within conjunction range of Chiron. They'll move back over Chiron after their retrograde, and that's going to be interesting when both of those planets do that. It feels like an extra dose of healing that's going to occur, but that's going to be moving into May, June type territory, I think, because Venus's retrograde completes in April, and then let's see here, she's going to re-enter Aries on the 30th of April. So then, yeah, we're moving into May. In May is when Venus is going to move over that point, and Mercury is probably going to be, so Mercury is going to be in April, Venus is going to be in May when they move over and have conjunctions with Chiron, and sort of each have a deepening of that healing energy, that healing aspect that I'm feeling moving through here. So that's going to be really, really gorgeous. We have some action with Chiron going on this year too, but we're not going to get onto all of that in this video, because we are working with these powerful Neptunian themes, and we're going to get into Neptune more actually in the Aries eclipse video. But that Neptune at 29 degrees, which is where it's at during this lunar eclipse, is really, really important. Because like we said, Neptune is going to be spending his entire retrograde at 29 degrees. And that retrograde actually begins on July 4th, interestingly enough, Independence Day. And so I love that energy for us, that Neptune is retrograding there. So there's some sort of spiritual independence, and that's what Neptune in Aries is all about too, right? Spiritual independence, that spiritual fire being lit, that just spiritual authority. So it's really beautiful to me that the retrograde begins, and it's going to be at 2 degrees of Aries that Neptune stations retrograde on the 4th of July. And then we're going to have Neptune continuing to move back, re-entering Pisces on October 22nd, and stationing direct at 29 degrees of Pisces on December 10th. So that 29 degree point, that closing out point, that make it or break it anaretic degree of Pisces, very important. And we see the energies because it's at that point right now during this lunar eclipse. We see this energetic signature. There's a signature and there's some energies of this full moon, this lunar eclipse, that are going to continue to echo throughout the rest of this year. Eclipses have a 6-month shelf life anyway, but like this is going to be more active, I feel, this year because of that Neptunian influence of Neptune returning to and remaining at that 29 degree of Pisces point at the end of 2025. So it's like a resurgence of that energy. Also, as we enter the next eclipse season, let's see, or right after, let me see here. Yeah, because the second part of eclipse season is happening in September. So right after that, in October, we have Neptune returning to that 29 degrees. So it's kind of like we're moving through these energies. We have the second, so the eclipse energies, we're working through these energies as we move through 2025. Then we have the second set of eclipse energies in September. And then we have kind of like both of these eclipses, sets of eclipses, being integrated together by Neptune when Neptune re-enters or hits that 29 degree point of Pisces again, reactivating the energies from the first eclipse as we're working with the energies of the second set of eclipses of this year, if that makes any sense. And those eclipses, we're going to have another total lunar eclipse. All right, so we haven't had a total lunar eclipse since November 8th of 2022, and then we have 2 this year, all right? Just adding to the like ridiculousness of 2025 in the best possible way. So, and that's a total eclipse in Pisces, all right? So we got the total lunar in Virgo. We got the total lunar in Pisces on September 7th. And then we have a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo at the anaretic degree of Virgo, the 29th degree of Virgo, on the 21st of September. And then on the 22nd of October, we have Neptune moving back to that 29 degree of Pisces point that he was at during the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So this energy, we're really working with these Virgo, Pisces energies with these eclipses. Yes, we have that Aries eclipse. And that Aries eclipse, we had a powerful Aries eclipse in April of 2024 as well. So that energy, you can maybe look back to that time. And that was a 29 degree eclipse too, if I'm not mistaken. Or we had a 29 degree eclipse within Aries within the last couple of years. If it wasn't that one specifically, I can't remember if it was that one or not. I know that was, of course, the Alpha and Omega eclipse, completing the Alpha and the Omega signs across the United States. So that was a big one. And that one was connected to the final eclipses 2027, 2034, which I feel are ringing in the new age. At least as far as the development of the human. I think it's interesting that 2027 one coincides with this 2027 prophecy around the birthing of the new human. And that's going to be an Omega symbol, the X across Egypt, the Middle East, Tibet, China. All of these places are going to be involved in that X that's being created by those 2 eclipses. I have a video on that as well. And I'll actually link that at the end of this video for you so that you also have that to look back on. And I'm actually going to write that down right now so I don't forget. And then what was the other video that I said I was going to link for you guys? I'll ask Spirit to remind me, or I'll rewatch this video and I'll figure out what it was because I already forgot. But we got that one written down now, so we do have that one. So yeah. Crazy, crazy energies, you guys. So much shifting and changing and activating within us. We're going to continue to explore these Virgo Pisces themes, perhaps in the live stream on Wednesday. So go ahead and check that out. This might come out, hopefully, it will. I'm going to get it out today or tomorrow morning. So this video will be out before the live stream. Check out the live stream as well. If you're watching this video after Wednesday, the whatever day it is, you guys know how I am with linear time if you've been here for a while. I never know what day it is. All right, the 12th. And then go ahead and watch that live stream too, as we'll be delving into more of these energies and also pulling some cards on the eclipse. I want to take a moment to just feel if anything else wants to come through, anything else that Spirit wants to bring through about this energy. Just more of that energy of the rewiring. We talked about this in the last video that I did. Oh, that was the other video that I wanted to link. Last video. The one on the March energies. Okay, perfect. So thank you, Spirit, for that. So in that video, we talked about the mind-heart coherence and how Mercury and Venus are contributing in that process of building the mind-heart coherence, balancing the mind and the heart, bringing them back into harmony, into synergy. So we had talked about I had seen, and I think it was actually in the live stream that I talked about this aspect of it, how I had seen the brain being rewired. And Uranus taking part in that process as well. And so I think we're going to be feeling that this is an ongoing process. This is really being initiated in March in this eclipse season. Some of us, like myself, have been working consciously on this anyway. Even if you haven't been, it is happening. So simply allow it to happen. Our brains are being rewired right now. They are being reconnected to our hearts. We may have, this is interesting. Spirit's saying there may be floods of thoughts or images kind of coming through. Let that all cycle through. Don't try to control it. This may happen during meditation, which I highly recommend around this time and all time. Or it may happen spontaneously. Just know that this is part of that mind-heart coherence. It's like a data dump. Is what Spirit's saying, where a lot of this excess energy within the mind that we don't need anymore is literally just being purged, expelled. And that energy is happening from the heart too. Venus representing love, representing that heart chakra, that heart center. So from our energetic bodies as well as our mental bodies, there's a massive purge. So just allow that data dump however it wants to happen. Don't try to hold on to anything right now. It is futile doesn't even cover it. All right. It doesn't even begin to cover it. It's only going to stress you out more. So just let it go. Let it flow through you. Know that you are the master alchemist. You alchemize energies by allowing them, by accepting them, allowing them to be what they are, allowing them to move through you, not attaching to them, observing them. And through observing without attaching, you naturally let them go. You naturally release them. All right. I love you so much. You are all so beautiful. If you want any individual assistance with this, I offer one-on-one coaching. If you want to take advantage of that, please reach out to me. There is a form you can fill out in the description box below. You can also just email me. We can set something up. I have lots of different options for that. It can be really helpful to have somebody to hold you accountable, to assist you in growing, perhaps seeing different perspectives. We do energy work during some of these sessions. Well, really all of them. Even this video, you've been receiving energy work, whether you realize it or not, if you are accepting of it. All right, energy work doesn't have to be just somebody sitting doing Reiki on you. There's lots of different ways that your energy intermingles with another person's when you're resonating with them, when you're connecting with them, and everything that they are offering and everything that your souls are offering each other on a higher level. All right. So we're doing energy work. We've got we're working at the astrology. We're maybe pulling some cards. There's lots of different things that we do during these sessions. Belief work. They're really powerful. So if you guys want to receive that coaching, reach out to me. I also offer one-off sessions for energy healings, readings, tarot, astrology, quantum healings, past life regressions, entity removal. If that's something that you're feeling you would like assistance with, please reach out to me. And if you are still watching this and you have not yet paused this video to hit that like button, please do so now. And definitely subscribe, because if you're still here, you are part of the tribe. Welcome, and I will talk to you again soon.